Welcome back to the Foundry by Forge College. Let's roll out the blueprints and get our hands a little dirty today as we dive into the mechanics of interaction design. In our previous lesson on practical upgradability trade-offs, we got pretty deep into the mechanics of smart contracts. But today, we're shifting gears to the user's perspective in this explainer on the foundations of advanced interaction design. This is a massive piece of our broader track on building dApps on Solana, specifically diving into advanced UI and UX. Look, if you've ever used a decentralized app and wondered if your click actually did anything, or if your transaction just disappeared into the void, well, you know exactly why this topic is absolutely critical. Today, we're going to fix that uncertainty for good.
So here is our game plan for today. We'll be navigating through 5 key zones. First, the missing link. Then, the state machine, followed by the core primitives. After that, we'll look at Solana constraints. And finally, we'll wrap up with the 6-step assembly.
Kicking things off with Section 1, the missing link, from static to dynamic. Okay, we've all seen this honestly terrible Web3 UX. You click a button, a giant cheerful checkmark pops up on your screen, maybe there's even some digital confetti, only for you to read the text that essentially says, "Congratulations, your transaction failed and you lost gas money." I mean, it's literally like throwing a surprise party for a parking ticket. And why does this happen? It happens because we don't properly map our visual UI feedback to the actual network states on the blockchain. We're communicating success before the network has actually given us the green light.
That brings us right to Section 2, the state machine, your interaction blueprint.
To fix this disconnect, we need a new mental model. We need to start treating interaction design like a mechanical state machine. Now, a state machine, in this context, simply means treating every single user action as a highly visible sequence of phases. It's not just one click. Think of it exactly like ordering a coffee. First, there's your initial intent. You walk up to the counter and say, "Hey, I want a latte." Second comes the acknowledgement. The cashier nods, rings you up, they visually confirm they heard you. Third, you enter the pending network state. You're standing off to the side, awkwardly waiting for the barista to actually make it. And finally, the resolution. You either get your delicious drink handed to you, or you find out they're entirely out of oat milk and your order failed. Your dApp needs to walk the user through these exact same steps.
Now take a look at this matrix. This spec sheet is your golden rule as a designer or developer. It maps those states against user expectation, visual patterns, and crucially, timing. For example, when a user states their intent by clicking a button, they expect an immediate acknowledgement. And by immediate, we mean within 80 to 120 milliseconds. Hit that window and it feels seamless. But here's where things go wrong. Misaligning your visual timing with the underlying network state creates massive user confusion. If you show a permanent success animation before the transaction actually reaches finality on the network, users might think their funds moved when they absolutely did not. And in Web3, playing with people's perception of their money is a huge no-go.
Moving on to Section 3, the core primitives, materials of construction.
So what are the raw materials we use to construct these states? Interaction design depends heavily on these 4 primitives. First up, affordance. This is the visual cue that something can actually be clicked or interacted with, like a hover state on a button. Second, feedback. That's the immediate signal that the system heard you, like that button visually pressing down. Third, we have transition. This is the smooth movement or easing between visible states, preventing the screen from just jarringly snapping from one thing to another. And fourth, remediation. Listen, this one is huge. Remediation is your crucial emergency manual. When something inevitably goes wrong on-chain, remediation is the clear, actionable guide you show the user to help them recover, like a retry button paired with some actual helpful diagnostic text, rather than just error 404.
Let's look at Section 4, Solana constraints, designing for variable latency.
Now, because Solana is usually lightning fast, you might be really tempted to always rely on optimistic UI. That's where the screen immediately updates to show a successful action before the network actually confirms it. It feels snappy. But you must choose carefully between the celebratory speed of optimistic UI and the realistic communication of explicit pending states. Here's the rule of thumb. Use optimistic updates only when the action is easily reversible, and always provide a clear undo path. On the flip side, for transactions where the duration is uncertain or the stakes are high, you absolutely need skeletons or loading spinners to keep the user informed that we are still waiting on the network.
And this timeline brilliantly illustrates how we manage that latency uncertainty. We call this the timing budget. At 0 seconds, the action is initiated. Fast forward to 1 second, and we run a verification check in the background. But here's the kicker. If we hit 3 seconds and the network is experiencing back pressure, we automatically trigger fallback copy. Never assume that sub-second responses will happen 100% of the time, even on Solana. Always design a timing budget that triggers clear, helpful fallback text if the network stalls. Just tell the user what's happening. A simple, network is a bit busy, hang tight, goes an incredibly long way.
Section 5 brings us to the practical application, the 6-step assembly, from concept to handoff.
By following this exact 6-step sequence, you ensure your design holds up under real-world network conditions. Step 1. Map the action and its dependencies. Know exactly what you're asking the network to do. Step 2. Choose your feedback primitives for each state. Step 3. Define those timing budgets and fallbacks we just talked about. Step 4. Prototype across different latency scenarios. Test it when it's fast, test the medium, and definitely test it when it's slow. Step 5. Run your accessibility check. And Step 6. Document the handoff for your engineering team. If you follow this sequence, you will systematically eliminate the chances of accidentally disorienting your user.
I want to zoom in on Step 5 for a second, the accessibility check. It's incredibly vital to remember that accessible DOM-first changes and area announcements are the actual engine running underneath your slick animations. Screen readers need to know when a network state changes just as much as a sighted user does. Ensure you have proper focus management, and please provide reduced motion pads for users who need them. Bottom line, don't rely purely on decorative motion to convey critical on-chain state. And that leads us to our last stop, Section 6, Final Inspection, Documenting the Blueprint.
As we wrap up this explainer, the crucial point I want to leave you with is this provocative question. As you design, always ask yourself, are your animations communicating truth, or are they just providing decorative uncertainty? Is your motion actively reducing a user's anxiety about their on-chain state, or is it accidentally adding to it? In the world of Web3, perceived uncertainty about where a user's money is generates massive anxiety. Your interactions must be the cure for that anxiety, not the cause of it.
Hold on to your timing notes and those fallback thresholds, because for the next lesson in this track, we'll be tackling designing micro-interactions and feedback loops. We are going to use this exact state machine framing we learned today to produce concrete sketches and validation criteria.
Thanks for joining us for this explainer. Remember, building intuitive dApps isn't just about flawless smart contracts. It's about treating user interaction with high-end engineering precision. If you want to dive deeper into these specific learning programs and take your Web3 skills to the next level, explore the comprehensive courses we offer by visiting forge.college. Before you go, ask yourself one final thing. If your network stalled for 10 seconds right now, would your users panic, or would your UI guide them to safety? Keep iterating, keep building, and we'll see you in the next one.